This is going to be a long one, so check the timestamps if you prefer to skip straight to the encounter. Now, I want to give a fair warning before we begin. If you're doing this because you want to get some loot solo, I would definitely recommend to instead go through the trouble of playing with random people. But if you want to do this because of the challenge, then I hope my video helps you. Now, before I show the loadout, I want to explain why we're using Esoterickk and not any other class or subclass. The reason is when we're on damage phase and we're trying to destroy these fuses, which is the objective of the encounter, we can hit every other fuse except these two from below with our weapons. And it seems the only super that can actually reach these two fuses is Esoterickk. So if you're doing a Hunter or a Titan or a Warlock, where a different subclass, you don't have to rely on luck. Now, there are definitely videos out there, so you can definitely go watch them if you're a Titan or Hunter and still want to do this. But for this case, we're going to show with the Esoterickk. That's a little bit more reliable. Now, the loadout then is going to be Esoterickk. The jump, I'm using Burst Glide, but you might try your luck with Strafe Glide for certain jumps. The weapon that's going to be the damage dealer on the damage phase is going to be Bastion. Then here it can be anything that you're comfortable with. It can be an SMG, an auto rifle, whatever. It's going to be just used to hit the panels. And then I'm going to use sword for mobility. The only enemy I'm really going to kill with the sword that's tough is going to be the servitor. Everything else is going to be just small mobs, so it's no problem. Now, you definitely want Crown of Tempest if you want to do the Esoterickk method, because that's going to allow you to get your super back between damage phases. Because what can happen is, on the first damage phase, you might have to use your super to hit this one, and on the second damage phase, you might have to shoot this one. And so you definitely want to have your super recover between damage phases. Besides that, all I have is some stats increase for my intellect, again, to get the super between damage phases. Nothing incredible though, 70. And besides that, just some fusion rifle mods, because I'm using Bastion. I just want to mention that some other people are doing it with Xenophage. I definitely prefer this for damage. However, the problem is when you use Xenophage, you don't have a sword, and so the mobility is a bit reduced, and I definitely prefer as a whole loadout to use this. So before we check the actual run of the encounter, I just want to show you around to know what are the elements that belong to this encounter. First, we have this area, which is the light area, and then we have this side, which is the dark area, which we're not going to touch. Then we have these terminals. We have 3 in total, but 1, 2, which we're not going to touch at all, this one, and then we have a third one on the lower level. Now this one we're going to use exclusively to draw or get the operator buff. The one on the bottom we're going to use exclusively to deposit the operator buff and free ourselves to grab the scanner buff. Then here we have the fuses. We have 3 on this side and 3 on the dark side. And if we keep going here, we have some panels. Now these panels, all they do is allow us to open the doors, because as soon as we start the encounter by grabbing the buff over there, these doors are going to be closed. So we're going to shoot this, and it's going to open the door. We're going to shoot this, it's going to open the door, and then we're going to shoot that, and it's going to open this final door. And we're going to be on the lower level. Once again, on the lower level, we're going to use the same separation as on the top. So this is the light side, and this is the dark side. So here we have the other terminal I mentioned. Again, we're going to use this exclusively for depositing the operator when we want to free ourselves of the operator buff so that we can grab this scanner buff. Now over here we have these small fuses that are connected with the ones on the top. So basically this one represents the dark rights, and let's see the other side. This would be the light middle, and so on. So normally when you have more people doing this run, you will have someone down here with the scanner buff during damage phase, which would look at this and see one glowing yellow on either side. So let's say this one is glowing yellow. I would say to my teammates that are on the top, shoot dark right, and they will shoot this one until it's destroyed. And then I will look around and see which is the one that's glowing next. So let's say this one's glowing now. I would say light middle. because again, this is the light side on the top. And someday we shoot this and we will go on until we destroy all of the fuses on top. And if we don't make it on one damage phase, we'll go to the next phase. However, since we're doing this all by ourselves, we're gonna have to do ball rolls, and we're gonna have to look at which one to shoot and shoot it at the same time. Anyway, don't worry about that, because we're going to see the flow of the fight later on. What else do we have down here? We have more panels. We have 5 panels on the left side, or on the dark side, and 5 panels on the light side. So in order to memorize them, because we have to memorize 2 on each side that are going to be glowing, that's going to indicate which one we have to shoot to initiate damage phase. So the best way is to give them a number. So we're going to number them 1 to 5. Some people like to start from the door with 1. I like to do the opposite. I personally start with that side being 1. So this will be 1 for me, then this will be 2, this will be 3, then over here is 4 and 5. Again, this is 1 through 5 on the dark side. Now we're going to check back here for tips about how to remember them, how to write them down so that you remember when it's time to shoot them. But for now, just let's identify them. So once again, here's the entrance. So this is the light side, and if we go to the end, we have 1 there, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The other thing we have down here, and I'm going to go back to the entrance for reference, is we have 2 glitch areas that allow us to go off the map. So we have one on the right side, or the light side. So I'm going to go all the way to the right, and right here on the corner, if you go out, you see we're off the map. We're going to use this during the encounter to get the join and allies text that's going to allow us to lose the buff that we have and spawn at the top. Don't worry, because we're going to see that later. I'm going to go back to the entrance, and we're going to see the second area. Here's the entrance. The second area to go off the map, and the most important one, is over here. I'm going to use my sword for this. There we go. So in this area there are 2 things that are going to happen. First, we're going to kill an enemy here that's going to drop this scanner buff. That's going to allow us to identify which panels we have to shoot, and then on damage phase it's going to allow us to identify which fuses we have to shoot. And the other thing is we're going to do from here is get into the middle area. So this area is right between the top floor and the lower level, and from here we can see the fuses that are below, so that we know which ones to hit on damage phase, but also we can shoot them. So that's the great thing about this area. So we look at which one to shoot, we come here, we shoot it, and we try to shoot 2 or 3, and we finish 1 damage phase, and then we start again. Now one thing we have to notice when we are up here is that after each damage phase we're gonna have to kill a servitor. Is going to be somewhere around here. Don't worry, because I'm going to get back to that later. I just wanted to mention that now so that you're aware of it. Now, as mentioned before as well, you can hit all these fuses with your weapons from up here. So the dark side, you can hit all of them from up here. However, if I now go to the light side, I'm using my sword to move around, I can hit the one on the right. However, if I try to hit this one, I cannot. I'm going to use Bastion. No matter what I do, if I jump and shoot, I cannot. However, if I jump and use my super, I can hit it. And that's why we use Chaos Reach. So I think that's enough. Right now we're going to actually see the run, and I'm going to comment it and check the steps. So now we're going to check the actual run finally, and we'll be checking each step along the way. Now I know it can be intimidating seeing all the steps on the screen, but as you start practicing and doing some runs, I don't think that's going to be a problem. At least forgetting the steps was never a run killer for me. It would always be just me messing up, falling while doing a jump or something like that, or maybe taking too long and getting wiped because of that. But don't be intimidated. Once again, from the steps, when you start doing them, you're gonna get used to them. So the first thing what I'm going to do is get my super bag, because I'm on right now. I'm gonna start the encounter by grabbing the operator buff, and now we're going to go below. So just shoot until you see damage twice, and that should be enough. I have had only like once or twice happen to me that I see numbers and I stay waiting for the door to open and it still doesn't, and then I have to shoot again. But most of the time, just shooting once or twice is enough. So now we're going to deposit back the buff. And as you can see, I move a little bit earlier there. You don't need to kill these enemies. I only do them because they are so annoying to me. Now we're going to heal the scanner guy. He's very annoying. He's one of the most annoying part of this encounter for me. How he moves around, he tippy-taps. You have to shoot it right at his feet, either one of the feet. And you jump, and we're going to grab the buff. I'm gonna go back inside. Again, you can ignore these enemies if you want. So here I'm going to go back a second. Here I'm already thinking of trying to memorize and look at which panels I have to shoot. So I look at 1 and 2. Right here you can see 1 on the left and 2, and they are both clear, so it's not 1 and 2. I'm gonna go look at 3 here. I saw 3 shining. If it wasn't shining, I would just assume it's 4 and 5. But since 3 is glowing, it has to be 3 and something more. So it's 5. 3 and 5. So right now I know in my mind that it's 3 and 5. Here I look, 1 and 2 is not. 3 it is. And then if I jump, is 5 once again on the right. I don't know if you saw it. As you start getting used to it, you're gonna barely look at it and you're gonna see it. There you go, 5. So it's 3 and 5 on both sides. So here I'm going to get join and allies. We're doing this because we need to lose the scanner buff, because in order to shoot the panels that we just identify, we need the operator buff instead. So this is a good point. Right here is a good point to pause. I mean, not to pause, but to press enter or type into the chat the numbers 3 and 5, 3 and 5, or maybe use a notebook, whatever. So here, optional, you would have to kill a servitor. If you hear a sound saying that a servitor is blocking the stations, you have to kill the servitor. Because if not, what is going to happen? You're going to come here, you grab the buff again, and it's going to say buff unavailable. But in this case, I guess I was fast enough, or I was so lucky and I didn't get a servitor, so we can do fair enough. We go back once again, but this time we don't return the buff, because remember, right now we already know the panels, so we just have to shoot them. So here I usually would have a path already in my mind. I'm going to shoot probably 5 and 3, and then 5 on the other side, and I'm going to leave 3 for last. So I'm going to shoot 5, 3. I lost a little bit there from him. I'm going to shoot 5 again. So again, I'm going to pause here for a moment. In order to start damage phase, you need to shoot all 4 panels. However, for damage phase, we need the scanner buff, not the operator buff. So if I shoot all 4 and start the damage phase, and then go grab the scanner buff, and then go up, I'm going to lose damage phase and I'm going to wipe. So that's why people kill 3 first, then get the scanner buff ready, then go back, kill the 4th one and start damage phase, and then grab the scanner buff. It's a little bit complicated in the beginning, but you're gonna get used to it. So he's right above me, that's good. He baited me there. He's so annoying. So I have the buff, but I don't grab it right away, I just leave it there. I have to go and shoot the 4th panel. So I'm getting ready, shoot it, drop an aim. I don't have an aim, so I decided to go around just to avoid the little shoots. don't do what I just did. If you start a damage phase, don't pay attention to the enemies. I would normally throw a grenade before grabbing depositing the buff, but in this case I didn't have it, and then I threw it after, and it's just a waste of time. So if you grab the snare buff, and you go in between, and I can see the right on the light side shining, so I'm going to go up here. I'm going to explain the paths, how to move around later. Normally at my level, 3 shots would be enough, but since I killed that enemy that got in front of me, I lost some damage. So I'm looking now left on the dark side, and move there. Once again, I kill an enemy, so I lost some damage there, so it's going to take more than 2 shots. And I didn't get lucky, so normally, not normally, in my case I always do just 2 per phase, but some people can do actually 3 per phase if you're fast enough. Like if you get them, let's say all 3 on one side, that would be like really fast. Okay, you kill the servitor. You have to kill the servitor, because if you don't, next time you go and try grab the operator buff, it's going to be unavailable, and because the servitor is on their dark side, you're not going to be able to reach it any other way. So you have to do it now. Every time after a damage phase, kill the servitor on the side. I'm going to go back. Once again, I check 1 and 2. Nothing. I should check 3, but I messed up, so I'm going to keep going at 5. Now 5 wasn't, so at this point I know it's 4 and 3, but I'm just going to check anyway that 3 is. There you go. Now to the other side, it's not 1 and 2, it's 3 right there, and not 4, 5. So it's 3 and 5 on the right side. Once again, join and allies. Here I always still look for a servitor on this side, even though it's not needed at this point, because I didn't hear any noise telling me that it would be one on the side. I usually also throw the grenade towards the champion that's there, so it doesn't bother me. Once again, I'm not going to return the buff, because I have to go straight to shoot the panel. I just realized that I got 5 and 3 in both positions. So now it's 4 and 3, I'm going to shoot 4 first, and I'm going to leave 3 for last. We saw all the way back, so I'm just going to wait patiently. Evaded me. Again. Now that's really a bad position. He's very far from where I have to go later. Cool. Once again, 3. Grenade, that's what I want to do usually. Here was very far. So it's in the middle. I'm going to go straight outside and use the super for this one. So here, if right after that one I got the one on the left, I would be screwed because I already used my super. But here I know that I have this one left, so I have to get my super back for the next damage phase. I'm getting in position on the right side on the dark. Yes. I'm looking in case, but nope. Servitor again. We have 2 as you saw a moment ago. If you saw it, 1 is not it, so not 1. See, Not 3. Not 5, but 4. So it's 2 and 4. I was checking. It seems I can remember at the time. Here's 3 and 5 on the right side. Again, in case you didn't see it. There you go. As you start getting used to the map, you're gonna be able to see it from the side without having to look at it directly or stuff. Once again, I'm checking if there's a servitor. There's nothing there. My name for the champion. Not needed though, it's very jumpy, so sometimes you move around instead of hitting something. So as you can see, you pretty much only return the buff the first time. After that, you don't need to do it. 4 here. That was very lucky. That was very ideal. Well, how see you left? So this stage I only have 2 left, so I know that I have 1 on this side and 1 on the other one. And you can see that I got my super back. So after I shoot this one and kill it, I'm going to go straight to this. Super. So now I'm going to move to give you some tips about my experience for doing this encounter, so they help you. See you there. So my first and most important tip, I think, is practice not the encounter but moving around on the middle area and also the jump, because starting the encounter, doing the first part okay, and then reaching that part and being in this middle glitch area and not being able to reach the fuse you have to go is really annoying. So just practice that first, make sure that you know how to move around, and then start doing some encounters. Now, since I'm already here, where does the servitor that spawns on the left side usually is? He's usually down here, or sometimes right here, and sometimes on the third. So if you remember on the first time you go down, and you remember that sound cue that there's a servitor around, you come and look for it, kill it. But sometimes you're just not focused enough and you're not gonna hear it, and you're gonna come here, spawn back, and not be sure if he is there or not. So just take a quick look. It's not here. Alright, it's not here. Now if you miss it, if you miss the cue and you don't see it, simply what is going to happen is you're going to reach here and it's going to say augment unavailable. So you're gonna have to turn around and kill it. Hopefully you missed this one, because if you forgot to kill the one on the dark side after damage fade, you're gonna have to wipe, because there's no way for you to kill that one. Now coming down here, there's not much to say about the panel. Just shoot it twice and it should be enough. Even once is enough, but just twice for good measure. Once I'm out here, the first time when I have to deposit the buff, usually what I would do is step somewhere around here, look to the right, and once I'm almost finished, I would move to the left, and that's going to, instead of being here trapped until the end, he's going to leave me here. It's a very small gain of time, but I like doing it that way. Now this is the most important, actually, the panel. So as I mentioned before, this for me is 1, 2, and so forth. I'm going to say something that's very obvious, but because you're going to be learning everything, it might not be very obvious to you at the moment. But since you only need 2 on each side, the time you see two of them, you're done. So for example, if you come out here with the scanner buff and these two are glowing, then you're done on this side. Then you can move on to the other side. So what you would do is say 1 2 1 2, keep it in your mind and move and look for the other side. If you see one glowing and two is not glowing, and you move here and two is glowing, once again you're done because you only need two of them. Another case, if you see one is not glowing, two is not glowing, three is not glowing, you're done because that means it has to be 4 and 5. So what you would do is 1 2 is not, 3 is not, oh, I'm done, and you come to the other side. Okay. Now usually I never look at 4 because if by the time I'm here I'm still not decided, let's say I have 1 and 2 was not and 3 was not, so I'm missing 1, just pick one of them. Let's say 5. I see 5 and it's not 5, then it's 4, and I know now it's 1 and 5. So I come here, I'm going to do the same. I usually decide just how I ignore 4 on that side, usually here I ignore 1. So instead of going here and looking, I will just go through, look at 2, look at 3. So let's say 2 wasn't, let's say 3 was, and I go over here and 4 and 5 is not. Then it has to be 1, right? Because if it is 3 and nothing else, it has to be 1. And so at this point I know which ones are. Let's say it's 1 2 3 4, which is the example I have here. So I'm keeping in my mind 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. I go here, I do the jump, and by the end, when I finish showing analyze, I will type into the chat 1 2 3 4, and it's going to be there for me so that I don't forget it. Or you can use paper and a pen, whatever you prefer. So then next time when you come down, and here's some important bits, you want to have a plan. So in the beginning it might be hard to make a plan because you're not going to be very used to the panels and whatnot. But right now, if I saw those numbers, I know I'm going to start 4 3 2 1. What I would do is I would go right here, I would shoot 4 and 3, then on the way I would shoot 2, and I would leave 1 for last. So I would go out, grab, get the scanner buff ready, then I would go in, shoot 1, and then I would deposit the buff. Basically, remember that when you shoot the last one, damage restarts. So you want the last one to be as close as you can to the terminal. So the ideal one for me is 3. Whenever you get 3 on light, on dark, definitely leave that for last. So you shoot all 3, go grab the buff, get ready the scanner buff, come inside, shoot 3, and return your buff, and you're ready to go and do damage. If it is not 3, if you don't get 3, getting 1 for last or 2 for last or 3 on the light side is not too bad. See, you shoot this 1 for last and then go deposit. It's not too bad, it's pretty close. So that's the only tip I can give you about that. Now the jump, it seems to me that the area that you can go out is pretty much the triangle like you can see here. So when you come back, you always want to try and come back as close as you can to this corner. If you go far, way too far, see how I went a little bit past it, but when I use my sword, I use my sword towards this corner so that I make sure that I was able to go through. You don't need to go the way I tend to do. Oh, I'll stop there. Okay. This is why you have to practice this a lot to make sure you don't mess up this jump. Now when you go back, you can either 1 2 and sword, or you can just 1 and sword. Oh, I messed it up there. 1 and sword. See? Important thing is you practice it so that it doesn't kill your run very often. It definitely did a lot. You saw how I just failed, so I definitely killed my runs a lot. So here the enemy that has the scanner buff is usually, he comes from there, from that door, but he will sometimes run straight all the way back there, sometimes going to be there. There's some people who jump and shoot, there's some people who move around. I used to do that too. I don't really know what helps and what not, so I right now I just wait here. I already lost my patience with him, so I just wait here and he eventually shows up, and if he doesn't, just got lucky and restart your run. So there's not much more to say about this. I think this is the most important thing, because you don't want to get here and start damage phase and get lost. So what I like to do as soon as it starts is stand right over here. So you see where is this corner, the slope? Because you can see all 6 very clearly. Now notice that this one that's here is actually 2, or the middle one. This is left, middle, right, because they are positioned in this shape like this, right? Because it happened to me a lot in the beginning, a lot more than I'm comfortable saying, that I will look at that and think that it's 3, but no. I mean, think that it's right, but it's the middle one actually. So how you move around is the following. Here, as you can see, and I'm gonna go this way, there is a slope right here. So this is how you get to the top part. So you don't want to go past it and fall in this hole, right? Because if you do, you have to go right here and go up the slope. So what you want to do on the slope is slide and up here. And now I can shoot. Now when shooting, sometimes staying still is going to stop doing damage. So what I always do is I move around when I'm doing damage. Obviously you're going to be doing damage with but you want to be moving. Another place where you don't want to fall is this place over here. So that's why I think it's very valuable to come up here, practice, get around, make sure you know this place. So you want to avoid falling here, because if you fall in here, it's very annoying to come out. Whoops, I don't even know how I died there. So now you know why you don't want to fall there. So you want to, when you reach this point, you do using sword, stick to the right, and then go here. And now you have access to 2 or 3. As soon as, if you kill 3, and you need to know the next one, again, don't get too close. This is enough. You don't want to go past and fall into the hole. Now, from here, you can come back and reach 1 here. You want to be kind of close to this table here. If you go too far, you push down and you won't be able to do damage. If that happens, you can either come all the way up here, slide, or go back. But that's going to be such a waste of time. The other thing that can happen if you go down is slide here. It's not so easy though. There you go. So that's why you want to try and not make mistake of falling. If you get 2 or 3, or middle or left on the light side, you can either come down from here, or if you see that at the beginning, so let's say you point here and you have left in the middle, instead of going up and going all the way around, you can just go on here. This around this place is a good place for doing this one, the jump into Esoterickk. For the left one, you want to go around here in this corner and jump into Esoterickk. And if you're not seeing any damage, you can go around a little bit. That should be enough. Now here, after you're done doing damage, moving around, and again, avoiding this hole here, avoiding this hole here. Here is another hole, right here, all the shade that you see here. Now why is this important? Because there's going to be a servitor that's going to be here that you have to kill after each damage phase. And sometimes he'll be very nice and he's going to be right next to you, waiting for you. Or sometimes he's going to go all the way, even that behind that column, and it's going to be so annoying. So just make sure you don't fall here, because here there's a big hole and you cannot shoot. So what you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to go out here and then go up, and it's just a waste of time. So make sure when you're shooting here that you avoid this place. I like to just stay above this pipe, shoot, and once you have killed the servitor, you can come back here, and then you come back in. And I think that would be it. There's not much for me to say. Except good luck. I hope you get it. Have fun.